Welcome to Time of Death. This video is for informational purposes and in no way meant to glorify or condone violence. In today's video, we'll be discussing the murder of Jason Samuel Gentile. Gentile was shot and killed Tuesday, December 15, 2009, at the intersection of South California Avenue and East Colorado Boulevard in Monrovia, according to LA County coroner records. Gary Anthony Sanchez Jr. was subsequently arrested and charged with the murder. The following is the evidence at trial. Fred Zamora and Arturo Ayon were next-door neighbors in Monrovia. Late in the afternoon on December 15, 2009, Zamora hosted a party to celebrate Ayon's birthday. Initially, the group consisted of Ayon and his girlfriend Megan McIntyre and Zamora and his roommate. Early that evening, a large number of people arrived in the van. That group included defendant and his co-defendants. McIntyre had met defendant several days before and had seen him several times. An hour later, Ashley Booth and Desiree Delgado, McIntyre's acquaintances, also showed up. They parked in the driveway behind the van, and McIntyre took them inside Zamora's house. About 15 minutes later, McIntyre exited Zamora's house and headed to Ayon's to get a jacket. She saw a group of men that included defendants standing between the two houses. A few minutes after McIntyre left to get her jacket, Booth went outside to have a cigarette. She saw defendant and his co-defendants outside. Delgado followed Booth outside and the women talked. The men then walked to a nearby area to smoke marijuana. Meanwhile, victims Jason Gentile and his girlfriend Casey Yeats were walking home from a nearby gym. When Gentile and Yeats reached the intersection near Zamora's house, a group of men quickly approached them. Yeats noticed that one of the men, whom she later identified as defendant, had a gun. She stopped moving, and both she and Gentile backed away from the men. While Gentile and the gunman spoke to one another, the other men spread out in half a circle around them. Defendant claimed membership in a Monrovia gang and asked Gentile where he was from. Gentile responded that he was from Anaheim. Another person said something like, "Pop his ass, just bust him," or "just hit him." In response, someone said, "I don't play with fists, I play with guns." Seconds later, defendant pointed the gun at Gentile and fired. Gentile grabbed his chest, looked back at Yeats, and then fell to the ground. Defendant fired about 5 more shots at Gentile. One of the bullets struck Yeats in the foot. Defendant and the rest of the group ran back towards Zamora's house, and Yeats called 911 from her cell phone. McIntyre observed the incident and identified defendant as the shooter. Although it was dark outside, a nearby streetlight provided illumination. McIntyre had a clear view and was 100% certain that defendant was the shooter. Booth and Delgado heard the gunshots but did not see the shooting. They went outside to their car, but Booth could not find her car keys. Defendant and his co-defendants ran up the driveway to their van. Booth dumped the contents of her purse onto the grass to find the car keys. Someone started yelling at her, "Move your fucking car, bitch." The same person repeatedly yelled, "Bitch, move your car." Another person told her to hurry up and find her keys. Booth was on her knees on the grass, desperately trying to find the car keys. Booth looked up and saw a defendant, who was 5 to 6 feet away, pointing a gun at her. Booth finally found her car keys and moved her car into the street. Defendant and co-defendants Jason and Mikey left in the van. Gentile died at the scene. He suffered multiple gunshot wounds. Underneath his right arm, a coroner's investigator recovered a live unfired .380 caliber round. A firearms examiner analyzed the 7 casings, 2 expended bullets, and live unfired round recovered from the shooting. He determined that they had been fired from the same .380 caliber semi-automatic weapon. Further, the live unfired round had been cycled through the same weapon. It likely misfired and was manually ejected by the shooter. Robert Martindale, a sergeant with the LA County Sheriff's Department, was assigned to investigate the shooting. Evidence found near Zamora's driveway, women's cosmetics, and a piece of paper led him to Ashley Booth. When he interviewed Booth, she told him that she knew of the incident and suggested that she talk to Megan McIntyre. Sergeant Martindale subsequently interviewed McIntyre. Although McIntyre was initially deceptive, she eventually acknowledged that she saw the defendant commit the shooting. Sergeant Martindale and his partner, Sergeant MacArthur, interviewed defendant after his arrest. During the interview, Sergeant MacArthur told defendant, "We know that you were there with 5 guys. You surrounded this white boy and his girlfriend on the sidewalk, and you pulled out a fucking .380 and you lit him up like a Christmas tree. Defendant denied being involved. After defendant admitted he had purchased a .380 caliber weapon in 2005. Monrovia police officer Yolanda Gutierrez testified as the prosecution's gang expert. She knew defendant and opined that he was an active member of Monrovia Nuevo Varrio, or MNV, a criminal street gang. When presented with a hypothetical based on the facts of this case, Officer Gutierrez opined that the shooting and assault were committed for the benefit of Monrovia Nuevo Varrio. The 4 co-defendants were Daniel Angelo Gomez, aka Duke, Marcos Rodriguez Garcia, aka Tank, Walter Jason Vargas, aka Ghost, and Michael Anthony Vargas, aka Mikey. Only Gomez and defendant proceeded to trial. According to the prosecutor, Jason and Michael Vargas fled to Costa Rica shortly after the homicide, and police were unable to locate them. The case against Garcia was severed from the instant case, and at the end of the presentation of evidence, but before submission to the jury, Gomez accepted a plea deal. Following his trial, the jury found Gary Anthony Sanchez Jr. guilty of first-degree murder and assault with a semi-automatic firearm, including gun and gang allegations. The court sentenced the defendant to a prison term of 59 years and 4 months to life. Jason Samuel Gentile was 22 years old at the time of death.